I love the character Renee because she's a compilation of all my friends and myself. And so just those parts of your friends that you wish you could have your best friend be more confident. You wish you could just kind of have them see themselves the way you see them. And I feel like that's Renee, you know, she doesn't know the potential she's working with. And to watch somebody have that kind of an arc, I hope will be helpful to other people. I started comedy with Rory. We were doing open mics together like 15 or so years ago in New York. And we always just got along great. And I just think he's hilarious. And so it was just so cool. And when this role came up, it was just like, oh my God, Rory is this guy. He has to play this role, you know, because he has such a way about him where he's not super overly masculine, but he's still a total dude and a guy's guy. But you could also talk to him about kind of the softer things in life. And so to get to do this on camera with him was so, so fun. 80, who has become one of my best friends, she's just such a joy to be around. We're the same. We just want to like do bits all day, just make each other laugh and kind of trash each other. And so it was just great to have her on set. And Busy fit in really great with that dynamic.
Amy is great. You know, we've gotten on really well, and she welcomed me onto this set. As soon as I stepped on, I got welcomed onto the set by her, and she made me feel very comfortable playing around with dialogue and stuff. She's great at throwing in sort of curveballs at you and seeing how you go with it. And she sort of supports you on that, you know. And I've not done a huge amount of comedy movies, and it's something I've always wanted to do. And I think someone like Amy Schumer is a perfect person to do it with, because she really has this great talent to hold an actor up who might not be as you know, well dressed in comedy. So that's been great. And I think why Amy is so great at this kind of role, I think, is because she understands women so well. She has this brilliant sort of outlook on women and what they should be and how they should embrace themselves. So she has a brilliant outlook on this whole sort of the ethos of this movie, you know. So I've not worked with Michelle before either, and when I mean, it's written in the script that she does this voice, and I wasn't really expecting Michelle, you know, not having done any comedy before really either, to sort of be funny. You know, I sort of made this instant judgment, and then she comes on set and she's doing this voice, and she is just hilarious. Like, she smashes it out the park. And I think she's got this hidden gift that she's not been doing. You know, she's great at comedy. She's got amazing timing. So yeah, this voice she does is hard to act against at times, because it's very funny.
I think the thing that I was most attracted to with the story in general was just the idea of self-perception, and how I think there's a great message in the movie about self-perception, how people in general kind of perceive themselves either, I mean, for the most part, I feel like physically is such a big part of everyone's identity, that I loved in this movie that it kind of was, you know, putting Amy as Renee in a particular situation to where people could see that confidence is truly, in many cases, undervalued. People kind of put what people are going to think of how they look first, and I like that this movie tries to, while showing the mistake of doing that, also shows how important it is to just be a confident, bold person who kind of knows what they want and go after it. We've known each other for, I think, close to 10 years, maybe a little over 10 years. And also that we're both comedians. I think we kind of come from a similar mindset of being very jokey and maybe not taking things like so seriously. And also maybe just our understanding of like the comedy tonally in general. But yeah, I think Amy's great, and she creates that kind of comfort on set and in the scenes, which for someone like myself who hasn't been in a role like this before in a movie, it's a great benefit to me as an actor. And it's I think it all stems kind of from our friendship in general. I think the ongoing social conversation of women and body shaming and perception, I think it's a very important, I think this film has a very important message, and I think it's perfect for Amy to step into it because these are all themes that she kind of touches on in her comedy and also just in her public life anyway. She talks about this, and I think it's important that a message like this kind of has a face to go with it.
I like the story. What I like about it is it's a story for young women, all women. Doesn't matter what shape, size, color, creed, to feel good about themselves from the inside and having the confidence to, you know, go out into the world and conquer whatever job or whatever career they're after. So I think it's a self-esteem movie for women that should make them feel good. Renee is the girl that I think everyone's gonna fall in love with because she really, you know, she's wanted so much to be out of her own body and be this other person, but the whole time it's there, you know? So I think a lot of people are going to really identify with her character and love her, embrace her character.
It's also this kind of idea of a woman who's maybe a little afraid to step into her full authority and power. She's a dynamic woman and she runs a company, but some part of her isn't quite ready to grow up. She's the perfect person to play all women. I love what she stands for. I love what she represents. I can't wait for my kid to see this movie. I can't wait for all of her friends to see this movie. She's the right woman for the job. Avery's the boss, and she's really assertive, and she's a go-getter, and she's well-studied and well-traveled, but is the object of ridicule because of her unfortunate voice. Grant, on the other hand, has done nothing with his life, but has that kind of like cool, laid-back, suave quality, and things just come to him, and he somehow remains the favorite in the grandmother's eyes, even though he does nothing to deserve it. He just has that sort of, you know, that cool, easy air that people are so drawn to. Whereas somebody that's really hardworking and maybe a little bit highly strung, like Avery, gets the crappy end of the stick.
There's no magic, there's no tricks, there's no shots that are anything other than the reality of the movie you're watching. And so it just took us a while to sort of like make sure we were writing that concept baked into every scene, so you didn't need the visual tricks. It was all based on the concept of every scene, all pivoted around, you know, her perception of herself and then that sort of tension with how the world was actually seeing her. Amy was the best person to play Renee, not only because she's like the funniest woman working in show business, but also because the one thing we wanted for this character was, and it's something that Amy hasn't necessarily displayed as much as she has, which is a really deep underlying sweetness and optimism that really the character needs to work, because you don't want her coming off as mean and you don't want her coming off as snide when she starts to feel herself as very attractive. It all needs to come from a very positive, endearing place. And she is able to push the comedy, yet still keep it real and grounded, and still keep people on her side, and still make people root for her. And it all comes from a real, honest place of optimism, which I think was the main thing we were looking for.
Fearless, which is so much fun when you have a movie, a comedy that revolves around one person. She is fearless, and she will go for these scenes in a way without ego and vanity, in a way that is, I don't think you could get the same kind of comedy and the same kind of emotion with someone who is worried about how they look or how they're coming off or how they're, you know, she is just absolutely fearless.
I feel like it's a movie that works on many different levels, and obviously it's going to be funny when Amy's a lead, but the places she goes as an actress and the emotions that she's able to reach and the sort of just the depth of feeling that she gets to in this performance is really amazing, and I feel like it's going to resonate with a lot of different people. And it's a movie that like we wrote to be funny, but we also wrote for a reason because it says something, and it's, you know, I think it's a message that a lot of people can relate to.
The story is just so like empowering, and it has such a good feeling and message, and I think that's what Amy's all about, is, you know, making things funny but also shedding light on important issues. The message of the film is, you know, that it's really not about how people perceive you, but instead how you perceive yourself, and what you feel about yourself and how that carries on to affect everything. The better you feel about yourself, the better other people feel about you.
She's a vet tech, and she doesn't mind wearing her scrubs out to meet her friends for drinks. And, you know, she kind of just feels like she embodies, you know, just very comfortable in her own skin, doesn't need a lot to make her feel good about herself. She just is very, you know, it feels like she's very confident in and of herself.
It's been really fun and very easy with Busy and Amy, and we all get along really well. And I think there's like a comedy rhythm that we just sort of know, and that makes it really easy and like effortless. Like at the core of the story, it's about wanting to live your life in an uninhibited way and not letting your inhibitions rule everything you do, including your job, your relationship, your friendships, your everything. And that's really how Amy is to me. She never lets her, you know, little like doubting voice change her behavior. And I think that's like a really cool thing to put into a movie. That's a story that I think is worth telling.